A very good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the session once again. So let's begin with another few set of questions here for the day. So we have started with unsupervised and almost completed clustering, right? K means clustering, dimension reduction, association rules, and recommendation engines. So let us see few things for today. So the first question of the day is basic question. What is the connection between two nodes? It's called as. Yeah. What's the connection between two nodes? So we know that you can call it as a link. You can call it as edge, right? You can also call it as a node, right? These are names what we say whenever we talk about the connection between two nodes. Okay, so it is something which is related to networking, right? When you talk about networking, then when you talk about, anyway, we have started with networking, we have heard something about the closeness centrality, right? Betweenness centrality. We have few kinds of centralities here. So, but my question would be, for closeness centrality, okay, why is normalization done? Why do you do normalization for that? Yeah. Why do we do normalization, friends? For closeness centrality, why is the normalization done? Okay, whenever we are comparing, right? Whenever we comparing something like which is closeness centrality across the same network, right? Across the same network, if you are doing it, normalization is not required. But when you want to do, right, one has to compare something which is top node of one network and or top node of one network with versus top node of another, right? The normalizing thing has come into picture at that point. So you're normalizing the measures. It will make it independent of the nodes in every network, in each network, we can say, right? In each network, right? That is why we prefer the same for closeness centrality within the network, closeness centrality outside the network, right? So next, we have edges, right? We understood that the connection between the two nodes is edge. So with reference to edges, what are, okay, what are the two types of networks, friends. Yeah, networks. When you talk about edge, when you're talking about the edges, what is that? Yeah. It's reference to edges. What are the two types of networks? Obviously, it would be unidirectional and it would be bidirectional. Correct? It would be unidirectional and it should be bidirectional. Okay, now okay, now so when you talk about we all know, right? Google page. So Google page ranking algorithm. Okay, let me put it first, then ask you. In Google page algorithm, you have ranks, right? The ranks of other pages right, are referred in rank of a page. Right? What is this called as? Okay, let me put it here. What is this called as? Yeah. Come on. What would be the answer? It is nothing but recursive definition. Right? It is nothing but recursive definition. Right? You call that particular whole process as recursive definition. Okay, anyway, we have talked with closeness centrality. Then, what is this between a centrality measure? What does it do? Yeah, between a centrality. Okay, let me put it here. Between a centrality measures. Yeah. What does it do? Closeness centrality, you know. Now, what is this actually? Okay, we have the answer. Distance of the nodes between two different networks. Yeah, it measures the node centrality in the network such that what happens? It should be able to even access more, more means other nodes, and it has to check for something. What is that? betweenness centrality by virtue of it being in the shortest path of the common point, right? It should be the shortest point of the path, whatever you're following, right? Okay, so betweenness, closeness, Google page ranking, good, fine. Now, when you talk about text mining, right? When you talk about text mining, what is a text mining is? What is text mining all about? Yes, let me put it here. What is text mining, friends? So we are doing some kind of mining on your text data. So it is nothing but it is deriving meaningful information, right, from the text. What does it do? So it is nothing but the kind of process we can say, right? You are structuring the input text, and out of that particular text you derive some patterns, right? How do you derive the patterns? Within the structured data you derive the patterns, and what do you do finally? We would get the output, or you are interpreting the output from the pattern, right? So how you can put it into a statement here? Whatever you are deriving meaningful information from a text, right, from the text, and it involves a kind of preparing a data, or you are making a data structured, and finally you are trying to find out the pattern, and you are interpreting the output, right? Now when you talk about text mining, right, what is that? Okay, yeah, which process, okay, we generally use to convert a keyword into a base form. Yeah. What is the process called as? Do you have any procedure for that? A keyword into a base form? Bag of words, tokenization. Okay. Correct terminology? Yeah, exactly. Stemming. Other one? Yeah, tokenization. Other one? Lemmatization. Correct? So what are those called as? What process? Which process is important for us? All this you will follow. Exactly. You have stemming, right? And tokenization. Anything else we are missing? Yeah. So these are the processes what we can go for. So when we talk, anyway, we have mentioned them, right? Why don't we get the examples for these topics also? Right? So what do you call, now tell me, how, what is this work? What do you call it as, or what do you mean by stemming? What happens in stemming? What does this process do? Getting to the root word. Exactly. Trimming the words to the base form. Very good. So, what does the stemming do here? Stemming is nothing but it would help us in converting the word into, like, yeah, exactly. Extracting the root word. Exactly. Bindu, Vasu, and Gitanjali. So, you are just doing a kind of normalization and getting to the base root form. So what does the algorithm do? The algorithm would work on cutting that particular beginning, or which has that particular called as prefix or suffix, and whatever you find it in that intellectual word. So example someone has already given, very good. So let me give, if you apply stemming to this particular word, if it is effective, if it is affecting, right, or if it is effects, after stemming is applied, all these three would be taken as only effect, right? It is taken as effect. Very good, right? Yeah. What do you mean by the next process? What did we talk about? Tokenization. Tell me. Yeah. What is done in tokenization? What does it do basically? Stemming, yes. Effective, affecting, effects. All these words are taken. Okay. Tokenization would split, right? Yeah, you can say break it also. It would split the sentence into words. So we can call that as breaking, correct? It's a process of breaking the strings, right? It would break the strings into tokens. So what will happen? What is the output of that after you get it? You will get all small structures or small units. And that can be used as a, we call it as tokenization words. If I just write like this, a simple word, I like to learn right in 360 degree TMG, right? I can write institute, right? So what is happening here? Each word is divided into different tokens. So I can break it 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 word, 2 word, 3 word, 4 word, 5 word, and 6 word. Lastly, 7. Right? It would break it. So overall, how many are there here? 7 tokens created based on this particular single sentence. Right? Based on this particular sentence. What was the other process? Stemming, tokenization, and the other one is Lemmatization. Yeah. So what is this? How can you explain this? It does something, right? Some logical thinking it does. It's like an additional check is done by looking throughout the dictionary. Yeah, taking only the meaningful dictionary word. So it's like an additional check, and it would try to extract the base form of the word, right? It does a kind of what you call it as logical analysis on the word, right? It takes it does some logical analysis. So to do this logical analysis, what is required here? It should have a detailed dictionary, right? And you should think of the root word, get the root word. So when you talk about, it would actually link something like, it would link it to the original word or the root word, something like that. So if I like to give an example here, if you want to map going, right, gone and went, these three words are there, right? What would happen? It has to interpret this, all these three, as only one word dictionary. It can take it as a go, right? Mapping of this, all the three, going, gone and went, as go. That happens in your lemmatization, right? What that is going to happen here. Okay, when we are already into this, there is something called like POC tags, right? POC tags, what are they? What are the POC tags in NLP? Yeah. Okay. It is, yes, parts of speech. What else? How can you define it? How can you just put it in a statement? It's past a part of speech, correct? It's nothing but a grammatical, right? Grammatical type of words. It could be a noun, it could be an adjective, it could be an adverb or verb. So it thinks or it takes something like, it means that how a word, right, that particular word functions in this particular meaning, and grammatically how it is there in a sentence. And what is the thing that happens in POS tags here? Yeah, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, all this. So a word, whatever word you are taking into consideration, it can have one part of speech based on the context wherever you are using it, right? So any example for this, friends? When you talk about POS tags, the very famous example here. Okay, right? So this is something on the internet, and this is a verb, and also this is a proper noun, right? This is a verb and this is also a proper noun. And we all know that, yes, this is a common word and everyone knew this. It's very common to us now. So it is sometimes, it is also sometimes mistakenly it is used as a noun to refer to numbers like this, right? To refer to numbers like this. So anything which you are referring to parts of speech, which could be a noun or an adjective or a verb or an adverb. So it is just like the word, right? How this particular word functions in its meaning and how it is there grammatically in a sentence. Right? How it is there grammatically in a sentence. That is nothing but your POS tags. Right? What is an NER, friends? What is NER? Full form first. Name entity. Recognition. Yeah. What is this? Name entity recognition. Sorry, I spell it as recognition. Recognition. Yeah. NER. Name entity recognition. In that question only you have an answer. Names, entities. Names, entities. Identifying the names in the context. Okay. So if at all you would like to explain this is, you are writing it always as NER, right? So what you do, what does this happen here with respect to NER? It is a process of detecting the name entity. Okay, it is a process of giving the name entity. What is that name entity means? It could be a person's name, it could be any company name, right? It could be any quantities, and you can also say about the locations. Correct? Yeah, it identifies the names, entities. Okay. Now, do you think, does it have any steps like that? Does it follow anything? Tell me. It has 3 steps. What are the 3 steps involved here? How it starts with first. It has 3 steps. What are they? NER holds 3 steps. First one is, okay, let me write it here. So it has got 3 steps. The first one is noun phrase identification. Okay. Second one is phrase classification. Okay. And the third one being entity disambiguation. Right? These are the 3 steps involved. Okay. If you take any statement, if I just say like this, Google CEO, right? Sundar Pichai. Okay. He introduced. Now you should tell me what are how you write this, right? Introduced. We'll write some pixel 3 at okay. Now tell me. I have written some example, some statement here. What all things you can get it out of this entities? What things you get here? First is Google, right? What is this? Organization, right? Talks about the organization. Then comes Sundar Pichai, person. You have a location also. New York being the location, right? It may interpret that particular central mall also as an organization, right? It may interpret that also as an organization. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Srini. So this is what your NER does. Okay, this is what your NER does. So it identifies the names uh, and the organizations, locations, all these are done here. Okay, yeah. Now, what is with respect to text mining only? Okay, have you ever heard of the word chunking? Yeah. What happens here? Chunks. What happens here, friends? What does the chunking mean? Or what happens in, what is the process? What happens actually? Yeah. So chunking means you are taking individual pieces Okay, you take individual pieces of the total information. Okay, and after you do this, you start grouping them, okay, into bigger pieces. And these bigger pieces are called as chunking information, or under process you can call it as chunked data. Okay, grouping them into bigger pieces, like making it a relevant kind of. The process is called as chunking. Okay, so what is that? Taking individual piece, you are making it into bigger pieces. Usually what you do, you break into chunks of information. That happens actually, but here it's opposite. It would take individual chunks of information and grouping into a bigger pieces, and these making these bigger pieces process is nothing but your chunking. Okay, what is this semantic analysis? Semantic analysis. Yeah. What does it talk about? What does it word semantic refer to? Srini, when you talk about chunking, right, that you work with something called as unstructured text, right? But what happens is that whenever you are trying to get some information, whether it is a location or whether it is a person's name, anything, right? So this can be done easily when you go with any of the libraries, right? Any of the libraries you can take. So that's what happens in whatever you have with parts of speech. The same thing would happen here also. Okay, it's just like, you know, you what you call what is that, you say United States of America, right? What is advisable to use? You can use USA, United States of America, as a one word, or you can also divide it. You can divide it into words, right? You can what you call it as, use it as United one, States one, America one. Got it? In that way it would take. South America if you take, right? You use any phrase such as directly South America as a single word instead of using South and America separate words, right? Some these simple tokens, you know, they don't represent actually any meaning for this text. So sometimes we advise, this is very much advisable that you use these phrases. Actually, this works based on this POS tags actually, right? It would take these POC tags as input, and then it gives the chunks as output. It provides the chunks as output. It could be a noun phrase, it could be a verb phrase, etc. Okay, that's why it's more related with the NER. Okay, what was the question? Yeah, semantic, friends. So the word semantic refers to meaning of the words, right? So to understand the meaning and to interpretation to be done with respect to the words, and you have to understand how these sentences are structured, right? This whole thing is nothing but your semantic analysis. So you have many techniques also involved for the semantic analysis. One, the one which you have discussed, NER, right? You have natural language generation, word sense disambiguation. These are the techniques. Use it for semantic analysis. Okay, it's something like it's a computer algorithm to understand what is the meaning and what is the interpretation of that particular specific word and how these sentences are structured. Everything is done in this process, in this analysis. Okay, what are the libraries involved for NLP? Mention few libraries. I can make it as NLP libraries. Any few? The best one, yes, correct. Commonly used are these, right? NLTK. You have many third-party extensions also here. Pattern, polyglot. Right? Let me put it on the paper. Gensim. What was the other one? Pattern. So many are available. I think we can also use Spacey. Right? Okay. We are doing so many things. We are learning so many things as a part of text mining. Then what are the major steps involved in pre-processing here? What are the major steps in pre-processing? I can make it as the text data. Okay, tokenization. Lots of steps are there, right, in pre-processing. Mainly we are using only three. We use segmentation, tokenization. Right? What does segmentation do actually? Large paragraphs are break down into sentences. Again, tokenization is used for splitting the sentences into words. The third one is normalization will involve very, very small steps, right? Like it would remove your punctuation, it would do some case conversion, it would remove white spaces, stemming, right? or it would do something like making everything into lowercase or uppercase, etc. And finally, it would remove that particular, always we have a tag, right? Noise, right? From the data before you process that particular text, right? So mainly you can say so many, but as a part of it, segmentation, tokenization, and normalization. Yeah, spell check, white spaces, lowercase, yeah, text normalization, exactly. Right? So many steps are involved here as a part of this. Okay. So we are saying that we have many ambiguity situations coming up, right? But what is syntactic ambiguity? Okay, did I put it? Yeah, syntactic. What is this? Yeah, it involves many steps. I have mentioned it, right, in pre-processing. Majorly, what we'll do, I have mentioned it. Yeah, regular expression. Okay, package you're talking about. Okay. What is this actually? In normal grammar, what does this actually means? Confusion on the syntax. No. Actually, when you talk about normal English grammar here, this means that you have two or more possible meanings for a single sentence, within a single sentence, or sequence of words, we can say. Yeah, exactly. So when you have two or more possible meanings for a single sentence or words, as a sequence of words, right, you also call it as structural ambiguity or grammatical ambiguity also. Okay, let's understand it by an example. It would be easy. If I write the chicken, so we should not eat because bird flu is coming again back. So it's ready to eat. Well, this is my statement. In a given statement, what is that actually means? You may interpret it in a different way. I may interpret it in a different way. Correct? I understand it as, right, is chicken food is ready? Shall we eat? Is it ready for eating? Or what could the other one? The hen baby, small chick, what you say, they can call some, even they call it as chicken, right? It is the hen is ready to have her food. Correct? The hen is ready question mark. Here also question mark. This is called as your syntactic ambiguity. Friends, there's something called as lexical also. Right? What does that mean? How can you explain this? And you have something called as syntactic analysis also. After this, we'll make a note of that. Lexical. It is also something which is you would find, or the presence of, you can say, two or more words, sorry, not words, two or more possible meanings, right? Two or more possible meanings within a single word, right? It's a presence of two or more possible meanings within the single word. Now, can you give me an example? Two possible meanings are there within a single word. Let me write one statement here. I will say that, okay, he is looking for a match. Right? He is looking for a match. Now, what are these? How do you interpret this? In a given statement, we have two ways of meaning can be taken up. One is that he is looking for a partner, or other meaning is cricket match. Cricket. It could be any match, right? It's cricket match. Right? Two or more possible meanings within a single word is your lexical ambiguity. Okay, let us finish one more ambiguity. What is referential ambiguity? Yeah, let's make it capital. How do you explain this with an example? The name only you'll understand, right? Referring. Referential. This would come into picture, or I can say this would arise when we are referring to something, using pronouns. Pronouns means you use pronouns in a sentence. Okay, let me remove this and make it, write it. I'll write a statement, right? The girl told her mother. I'm trying to write few pronouns in this, about her friend in this statement. Okay, and what did she say? She's happy. Now it's a confusion. Now who is happy? Right? Now who is she here? Right? In a given statement, who is she? Right? Is it a girl? Right? Mother? Or it is her friend? This is your RA. Right? This is your RA. Right? So these are the various situations where you call it as syntactic, lexical, referential. Okay. So whenever you talk about an analysis, right? Whenever you talk about analysis, syntactic analysis, what does it mean? In NLP, when you do this, we know that syntactic ambiguity is there. We have something called as analysis. Okay, let me put it in NLP. It would be easy. Yeah. It's nothing but, let me finish it off. It would study about the arrangement of the words in a particular sentence. After that, it would try to derive the meaning from them. And what is the criteria? It is based on the grammar rules. Right? So what are the techniques for this analysis? First thing is you go for parsing. You can go for word segmentation. Right? You would go for sentence breaking. Right? And anyway, we have our stemming and lemmatization. Right? So this is what the procedure is. It follows is that arrangement of the words in a sentence, deriving the meaning of out of it, take the grammar rules into account. Right? So doing all this, these are the few techniques. Right? These are few techniques involved here. Okay. Finally, we'll take one question. What are these stop words, friends? Segmentation means you divide it into segments, just making it into segments. How to tell that is, okay, I'll just, you do, you write that particular word into meaningful units, like, topics, like that. You make it, break it, break it. Total sentences broken into parts. Right? That is called as, Satish, it is called as segmentation. Okay. What is this, what you call it as stop words, friends? Yeah. Stop words. Whatever I have. Yeah. What are stop words? Removal of words which does not have any meaning. Yeah. This, that, why, what. Right? Which would not really make any sense here. Right? Would not make any sense. Okay. you can divide and do a kind of text mining, right? So always what would you do? Yeah, whatever it is, that, is, I, and all that. So it is nothing but you divide a particular sentence into words, at first sentences, all the particular text into chunks of sentences, then words, then you start or topics. It's a kind of process, right? Whether it is segmentation or whether it is, all the process involved in text mining would start with breaking only, right? Okay, friends, thank you all, and thank you so much for joining the session. So let's meet next week, same time, with another set of questions. Hope this was a quick recap of the topics involved in text mining and network analysis. Okay, thank you all.
Good evening, friends. Continuing our discussion or continuing our engagement with the audience that we have, let us now change gears and let us move on to something else. All right. So now we are going to discuss briefly about resume preparation and how to manage to crack the interview. All right. Now, this is something that lot of people talk about it, and still not much of success is obtained by the people. In spite of that, I have done all the right things. I have done I have listened to so many videos and things like that, but I'm not getting it. This is one of the things that you know people are not able to succeed. So let's try to debunk certain things and try to understand. So I think it sums up, the starting of it sums up with this particular statement: if I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 6 hours sharpening my axe. Now, if you think that by attending today's session, all right, about resume preparation, and if you think that if you listen to me today and you make those changes in your resume and then you post it on LinkedIn, I'm sorry, you post it on Naukri or Monster, etc., and probably within 3, 4, 5 days you'll get a call, you're sadly mistaken. It doesn't work that way. All right. So it is a ongoing process, and if you're starting now, then you need to give it at least couple of months or maybe a month at least for the success to come. Now, it is not just your resume. When somebody decides to pick up your resume and go through it, he's going to also look at certain aspects mentioned within the resume, which is going to connect back to the other aspects, connect back to other digital forums, and he's going to verify that particular person is going to verify where you stand. All right. So in that context, you will have to sharpen your axe. You will have to give it time. You will have to, have a little patience. And what needs to be done as a constructed effort is what it is. Getting a job or having your, resume picked up and then getting a successful call and being able to manage it it can be equated to starting working out in the gym, right? The first day you go, you feel your muscles swell up. The first day or second day, you'll feel your body aching, your muscles swell up, and you because you're doing it for the first, after a long time, you'll get a feeling that, wow, I'm really growing strong, but nothing is actually happening. You also realize that. So that is exactly what this entire process is. It can be accelerated, but at the same time, you need to have patience. All right. So first, what is it that is there with reference to the hiring mechanism, and what is the importance of resume? What is the importance of social media, and what are the types of interviews, and especially the do's and don'ts. So it is not just a session on resume preparation, but it is also to, you know, the entire gamut of how to, starting from once you are ready to, market yourself in the job market, to the point where you actually shake hands. I mean, today we are in the virtual world and nobody's actually shaking hands, but yeah, to that kind of thing, if it is possible, to that level, when he says, thank you so much, we will now do the joining formalities. I mean, that is the music that you want to hear. Our HR people will now work out the joining formalities and you will receive the letter shortly. That is where you want to ultimately reach. All right. So, what are the hiring channels? All right. So, uh, unfortunately, the normal sources or the normal things of hiring are no longer there. Wherein, 25 years back or 30 years back, people would go and get their names registered in the employment exchange, and they would wait for a call. They will give their qualifications, even a short resume or something. It would be a form to be filled up, and then you would get a call, and then depending on the vacancies in the government organizations, you will get the job. So this is what used to be the scenario. Subsequently, then it started that people sent out advertisements on newspapers, and then you would apply with, send in your resumes through post with the heading, and then hundreds and thousands of resumes will pile up there and they will pick up something. Then the same thing went into the mail format. So they would, on their company websites, they would say, okay, send out a resume. And all this is now ancient. It is all gone. The most effective hiring channels, incidentally, are LinkedIn. LinkedIn is generally not treated as, it's part of the social media, but it's kind of a little above. So LinkedIn, and of course, social media, employee referrals, and personal network. That's how things work. All right. Now, we are an organization, 360 digit MG and Innodatatics. We have an HR person. When we have a requirement of, let us say, a salesperson is required, or we require some admin guy, or we require somebody to, take care of networking and hardware maintenance, etc. And when we do that, with personal experience, I can tell you my HR person prefers not to reveal this information publicly, or not to put it on our website, or he prefers not to do that, because the whole problem is then he will, sorting through all this information becomes a big headache. He would rather, if there is a one position, two position, he'd rather send out some kind of feelers in his network, or he'll say, okay, I need somebody. Do you know somebody? And one or two, unless and until it is like a very big hire. These kind of hires are happening on a more informal way. All right. So that is something that you may want to, keep track of, because many startups, many organizations do not want to spend energy and time in the process of, collecting hundreds of thousands of resumes and then going through it. They don't have the people to do it. They'd rather, tell somebody, or they'll probably look in LinkedIn, or they'll probably search something, and then, or even better, people are now having paid accounts with Naukri, and they will go there and then pick it up. All right. So there's a good number of people who are doing it that way. So you have to be active. All right. You have to be active. And it is very easy to ascertain, or it's very easy to find out how old you are on social media. All right. So that's why I said that you've been pretty silent for almost, you had a LinkedIn account probably 4 years or 5 years back, and then you were doing nothing. And the last 2 months, you've been very, very active, been doing left, right, and center. You've been liking posts, you've been doing that. This also gets visible, but it's okay. better late than never. Let's start doing the process. And it is a continued process. Even when you are employed, you must continue. Now that I've got my job, let me stop and it is done. It is not like you are all joining a government job and all that. So a social media presence and a good presence, a quality presence on the social media with reference to what you are doing is very important. Now, for instance, on Facebook, what kind of posts you like, what kind of uh, political opinions you have, how strongly you feel about certain things. Are you some kind of a very, very radical person? You, you know, uh, invariably talk ill about certain sections of people or certain sections of the government or things like that. Is a no-no if you are wanting to be picked up. These are, let us say, a little bit of people would be a little worried, the employers would be a little worried about this, and your social media tells you everything. If you are saying this is what it is, anybody is going to search. If I Nitin Mishra were to employ, if I were to ask for employment, Nitin Mishra is something that probably they can search on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and things like that, and see what I do, what are the things I do, what are the posts I like, what are the places that I have commented. All right, am I being too what shall I say, sarcastic in my comments to my friends, or am I motivated? Everything can be known if they go to the second, third level. So keep that in mind with your social media posts. All right, it should reflect that you are trying to become a professional, like a working professional. All right, that is one thing. The other thing, LinkedIn, off late, you must have seen, please help me. I have lost my job. It has been 8 months. I have difficulty. Please tell me. Please, I have reposting in. I'm. Please do not ever show desperation. All right. Please do not show ever desperation. Everybody likes a positive person. Haven't had a job, nothing to worry. All right. Recently, I saw a post on LinkedIn about a person that went viral. He just happened to post. He was a pilot by profession. He's a qualified pilot for Boeing 747. All right. And then he had posted 3 photos. Was a pilot in the last 1 year. Has been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. Was a pilot, then became an Amazon delivery guy, and now working as a mason, a person who does civil work. All right. He had put 3 photographs. Life, and he was always talking about how it is okay. I lost everything, but this is, I'm happy about it. And his post simply went amazingly viral, and he had to edit it and say, I never intended to ask for anything. I'm happy the way our things are, and I'm managing things. So these things are what any employer would like to look at. What is it that makes you different? All right, so please, it is very fashionable today for people to mention on LinkedIn, my connections, please help me, I'm starving, things like that. Please don't do that. Okay. And contacting your connections, contacting your referrals, contacting them, sending them a private message, or requesting them. There is two methods of trying to get it. All right. So one is, all right, spray and pray, meaning you spray it. You spray the information to everybody, and you pray somebody will pick it up for you. Spray and pray, as they call it. All right. One is aim and shoot. All right. So have targeted things. Now, if you may have 150, 300, 500,000 people in LinkedIn, and if you're going to put a post on LinkedIn for every one of your connections to see that you need a job, it's not going to help. Find out amongst your connections about the people who are influencers within their organization. Find out about the positions, build a rapport. All right. Send them a greeting, send them a message. All right. I am interested. And then create some kind of common platforms, and then start liking the post. Like I said, it is not something that you do now and then after 3 days you will get it. It is a relatively slow process. So if you've identified somebody, start following him, liking his posts, and amazing things you've mentioned and things like that. You start responding in that particular person's LinkedIn messages and things like that. And then after you have done it for some time, send out a private message telling that I have been following you. I would like to know more about you. I'd like to interact more about you. I would. It will be an honor to if I could, actually work in the same firm and things like that. I have these qualifications. Nevertheless, it would be amazing if I could collaborate with you in any way possible. Now, this is one thing. Now, you need to maintain a very good detail in your maybe in an Excel sheet or something, whom all you are this way talking to and targeting. All right. Now, and that is what, and of course, that is where you create within your social media and LinkedIn profiles, you create your personal network within that, and you try to do that. All right. That is one thing. And this is what the various hiring channels are. All right. Referrals, sourcing firms is 18%, external services 24. Social media is the biggest, which is 36. And pipelining is pretty much less. Pipelining is where, you know, uh, they have a list of candidates, they will keep them in the pipeline. And as and when there is something similar to what I was mentioning about the employment exchange, you register yourself in the employment exchange, and then within 6 months to 6 years to 15 years, you will get a call depending on the availability. So that is something that is there. All right. So, of course, these are the references on that. Now, moving on, how to get calls from recruiters. All right. So it is not just one, it is all. All right. It is not that I have made an amazing resume. No, it is not enough. You have to have a multi-pronged strategy of attack. Basically, you are there is a recruiter, there is a employer, and you are attacking him from multiple directions, making him helpless that he has to hire you. That is the objective that should be there. So you cannot leave, you cannot just hope to this thing. So you'll have to attack from all sides and have to really make aims. So resume is one among them. Your LinkedIn profile, how well you have developed it. So therefore, that is why we are a training institute, and that is why when we start the sessions, which is anywhere between 3 months to 6 months, at the start of the thing, I tell them, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you are late. But better late than never. Create a LinkedIn profile. Start connecting with the important people. Connect with them, and then start liking their posts. Start responding to them. Reply to them. All right. Give replies, because all this will get into your digital history. All right. Get into them and post things. As you definitely, we are talking, this particular session is for basically technically qualified people. So uh, start creating a GitHub repository of the things that you do. Have a user ID, have a profile within them, and keep adding stuff. All right. And the GitHub repository should also show your progression or your growth as your maturity levels, how you have matured within the organization. Your older ones, which should be very basic, fundamental stuff. Then after 15 days, so it kind of shows your learning curve. All right. So probably on day one, you put a very fundamental or a basic kind of code that you had put there. All right. On day 6, you put slightly better. On day 10, you put even better. The progression or the growth, excuse me, should be in an exponential term. So that is how you can create a good
As host is facing some technical issues, he will be back very soon.
Yeah, friends, extremely sorry. I kind of had some network issue. Was doing it. I'm just Starting all over, my bad. Yeah, so let us continue. Apologies once again. So as I was saying prior to getting cut off, that it is not just one thing that is about it. It is multiple things that have to be taken into consideration. All right. So your GitHub repository should tell you your learning curve, how steep it is, how well you are learning from the basic things. You should be looking into Quora. You should be asking as well as answering questions based on your understanding. All right. And the best would be, of course, to participate in various competitions on Kaggle. One is try to be a part of many Kaggle competitions, even if your ranking is not good. And over a period of time, try to improve your rankings as well. And I've already mentioned that try to be focused in what you are trying to do. I mean, Facebook Facebook did start off as an entertainment portal where people are free to say whatever they wish and whatever they do. I mean, they can within, of course, reasonable limits. You cannot obviously speak ill about something, but yeah, you can probably speak your mind on Facebook. If you are a job seeker and if you feel that you are going to be a constant, you may want to even change jobs subsequently. So be very, very careful on what are the kinds of posts you do on Facebook. Now, you might be aware, many of you might be aware that sometime back, certain people were who were moving to the US or wanting to go to the US, etc. There was some scam about some fake university there. The whole objective was to somehow get to the US and then claim to be doing MS there. But that particular university had an offer of doing the course in the online mode. So they would give you the I-20, etc. Now uh, the borderland security and all those authorities, they have asked people to log into their Facebook, all right, and give it to them. And they have gone through their Facebook, they have gone through their chats. And then people have mentioned, anyway, I'm getting university. I mean, they have been very candid on their Facebook telling that, what, I got this university, which is pretty much this thing. I will somehow go there and I'll work and I'll do part-time study. I don't even have to attend classes, etc., etc. And all of them were, poor fellows, sent back. All right. So be very careful. Everything you say or do on the digital platform is going to be recorded forever. All right. And also very soon we've also all heard about the new thing. Everybody's talking about WhatsApp. So let's be professional. All right, let's be professional and you get into the habit of doing that. So that's one thing, a piece of advice that I will give you. So your resume gets you the interview. All right. And what makes someone pick up your resume, all right, depends on how well it kind of impresses the person. So your degree, your experience, all these things, how you mention it, in what way you mention it, it is something. I mean, uh, we don't like to read. We as ourselves don't like to read forwards on WhatsApp, but we watch videos on WhatsApp. Somebody forwards a video, we'd prefer to watch it. Now, if you are going to read a forward on WhatsApp, if you look back or if you think back, what were those forwards that you recently read and what you liked it? One is if the sender is somebody whom you trust to send a good forward. Otherwise, the first 4, 5, 6 lines that must have probably impressed you. And then you might have ended up reading that entire thing, right? So similarly, your first page, the first half of your first page is what is going to decide whether the person will go to the second half of the page or go to the second page or the third page. Or he may decide to close the screen because mostly it is going to be digital. He's going to close it and pick up the next resume. So it has to be very, very impressive in the first. You read it and you say whether you like it or not. You are going to be the best judge. Use the right keywords, all right? Things like data mining, machine learning, regression, etc. Now, most of the times resumes are sent as a PDF attachment. You load the resumes as PDF attachment. But many sites like Naukri, etc., they expect you to key in your resume in various places. And they also ask you to upload your resume, but also key it in. Now, when you key in your details within this place, you will have to use proper keywords that are going to get selected. Remember, never ever put dummy projects. Do not put academic projects that you have done as part of your college unless and until you're a fresher. Do not mention training details if you've been part of some kind of training institute or this. I did a course and this thing, unless and until it is going to give you a certification which is, something from a top university. Do not mention anything, and most often do not copy because you're doing this probably with your one resume, but remember the recruiter is seeing hundreds of thousands of resume and it is his job to look into that. So he is seeing that. All right. If you have done something as a POC, proof of concept, then mention it as a proof of concept and also mention what the customer has accoladed or what the customer has mentioned about it. All right. So you have to be a storyteller. All right. And how do you explain the project, let us say in an interview? Now assume you generally get picked up, your resume gets picked up for the interview. So unfortunately, I'm using the word unfortunately, in the duration that you have to make your pitch, the duration that you have to make a good impression is very limited. And therefore, people will not have time to look into the 94% marks in your engineering, the perfect score or the, your 97, 99.8% marks that you've got in your 11th and 12th. They would be more interested in, okay, tell me about yourself. And this is a this is the first question, tell me about yourself. And when people say my name is, trust me, the interviewer turns off his brain. He turns off his ear, he turns off everything. And he waits for you to finish so that he can go to the next one. I'm holding your resume in front of you and you're telling me my name is. Please be prepared. This is a question that is always asked. And please be prepared for questions like this. Please be this thing. All right. I love to swim. And this is one thing. Start with anything. I basically like to swim. And that is something that I'm not doing for the last this thing. So working out is something that I love. So now I am doing a lot of jogging. And jogging with the mask is becoming a problem. That is one issue that is there. And apart from that, I like to read. Don't say I like to read books. I like to read this specific author. Books on this thing I read. Now, do stop lying in your interviews, all right? Because you will get caught. You will get caught, all right? So Once you have impressed with your first answer, that is when the interviewer is going to be more receptive to the other questions. Now, after tell me something about yourself when you have to explain your project. In this project, we did this and we got this success. Don't close it. Make it into a story. Make it into a thing. He has been given you an opportunity to speak. So any interview will let you speak. So explain the process, explain the bottlenecks. If need, explain the troubles that you faced during the information, explain how you collected the data and what are the problems, what are the challenges, what are the learnings that you had when you were doing this. I did EDA. In EDA, I found this. No, I did EDA. And interestingly, we found that while the assumption is that for this particular domain, you would expect data to be very, very normally distributed. We found it to be highly not normally distributed. It was, and we had a lot of outliers in spite of the fact that this is considered to be a norm. And by the process of removing outliers, I mean, I'm just giving you a general idea as to how, all right, you must at every stage try to do it and have this thing ready in your mind. All right, you should prepare yourself, speak to the mirror, and then explain about the model building validation. And then most importantly, you should delve a lot on these aspects, how well the business benefits are and things like that. All right, now this is of course when you get picked up and this thing is there. Now what about social media networking? I already mentioned build up and update your LinkedIn profile, get endorsed to relevant skills by data scientists, talk to people, talk to your colleagues, ask your colleagues if they will write a recommendation. Some of you may be aware of or you may have friends or batchmates who have gone to the US for their master's program. Now you must have seen them, right? They would be running pillar to post to get recos. All right, they will ask their professor, they'll ask people to get recos. So you are definitely a social person. You are not a person who is living under a rock. You know people. Among the people, can you please write something about me? Can you please write a recommendation? Can you please write this? All right. So that is something that you may want to work on. And like I said, participate in discussions on open threads. All right. Try participating on competitions within specifically on social media and all that. All right. So on LinkedIn. Okay. So project your profile as a professional data scientist. So you'll have to make it. Now, initially, you may be doing that with an intention of, trying to create some kind of a facade, trying to create, okay, I have to project, I have to show, I have to wear a mask. Over a period of time, you will actually fall into that particular category. You will actually become a professional data scientist. And when you see yourself metamorphosing into an actual data scientist, into a data scientist, that is when you will realize that, okay, you will start getting the relevant things. All right, LinkedIn. All right, get endorsed, keep updating your profile, build decent activities by posting comments, write blogs. All right, this is what I have done. All right, all these things will kind of help you. This is of course my colleague's profile. I did not update it. Mine, you can probably check it out. All right, so yeah, I'll just open it for you. In the meanwhile, let me just continue while it opens. All right, then next is, of course, we've already discussed about the GitHub repository, Kaggles and meetup groups. Already mentioned that there are no shortcuts. You'll have to make your hands dirty. If you don't have GitHub, if you don't have a GitHub account, if you haven't participated in Kaggle, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile and you're only, whiling away time on Facebook, then please do not feel disheartened, but give yourself time, give yourself 2 months, give yourself 3 months and say, okay, I need to start building on that. In the meanwhile, keep applying, keep, putting your resume in the listing and all that, keep applying and doing that. But in the meanwhile, give it a 3-month target. Do something every day, all right, on all these things, all right, on the GitHub, on Kaggle, on meetup groups, etc., and do those things. All right. So that is something that you must be doing. Like I said, spend 2 hours daily. How to prepare? Any day you might get. I have conducted huge number of interviews. All right, and when people send me their resume, and then when they call me, when I call them for an interview, they readily agree because they were desperate. Obviously, they readily agree. And when I start asking the questions, then they apologize and say, "I would like another chance. I'm very sorry. I haven't prepared. All right, I haven't prepared. I'm very sorry. Can you please give me another chance?" Now, remember, the interviewer may give you a second chance, but he's actually not giving you a second chance. So you will have to, like I said, the first slide, sharpen your axe and strike it once, and it should be done. All right. So while it is important to have in-depth knowledge about the topics that you are there, it is also important to have a wide spectrum knowledge on many of the things. All right. Answering questions to the point is good for examinations. When asked a question, trying to reference to certain other things, other blogs, or incidentally recently there was this issue in another company, or which the person should be able to relate to. All right. If you're going to give some kind of algorithm, the other day I was reading an article about this article, they have now come up with a better thing. I have not worked on it, but I find it to be pretty interesting. That article which I read there, you will have to jot down these things and you'll have to keep remembering. Now, the good thing about today's times is that most of these interviews are conducted in the online mode. They are having the video on, or sometimes it's only a telephonic. Now video is more popular because internet is not such an issue. All right, so internet is not such an issue, so people are having it on the the video on mode. Have on a piece of paper or have that screen open, because they are not able to see your screen, they're only able to see your webcam. Have on a screen all the things that you have noted down, and you can quickly refer to that. So that is something. And then of course, live projects, there is no substitute for that. You will have to have worked on live projects, etc. And then you will have to have worked on proof of concepts, and you should be thorough in that. Now, there was a time not long ago, maybe about 15 years back, 20 years back, I will put something in my resume. I will make up my resume. I will do some. Can you give me some projects to write down in my resume? These were pretty commonplace discussions that used to happen. Now it is a no-no. All right. You cannot fake your way through all these things. We need to actually work on these various aspects, and you need to be in thorough grip of whatever you are mentioning there. All right. What is the other preparation? Assume you are planning to, or you have got an interview call from a company. You should know everything that is to know in the public domain of that particular company. How many branches, how many places, how much day of establishment, CEO, head of the organization, CEO's LinkedIn profile. All right, the person who's going to interview, the HR head, send a connection request to the HR head. All these things, you must do it. As soon as you get a call, you start connecting. All right. Try to network with the people within the organization. Search for the name of the organization and see if somebody is there on the, what shall I say, who's overlapping with you in your LinkedIn network. Try to, connect with them and try to ask information. I have an interview tomorrow. All right. Send them private messages, send them a message. Have at least 10, 12 questions ready that you will have to ask them. All right. And questions should not be like, what is the salary? What is the work profile? All right. Should not be the question. That should be more specific. All right. What is the growth opportunities? Okay. Now, another question that you will most often be asked in an interview is, what is your salary expectation? If you are going to give a very low salary, that this is basically a question that is asked as an elimination process. All right. So if you're going to give them a very, very low figure, if you're going to give them like, okay, I will work for 5,000 rupees or 8,000 rupees, they will know that you are desperate and you can be squeezed further. And if you are asking something very, very high, they'll know that this fellow is playing hardball and they will simply leave you. So try to give them a very, very wide range. All right. Give them a wide range. Anywhere between this to this. My last drawn salary was this. I'm a fresher and I've been doing. So don't give a direct answer like 17,500 or 12,000 or 19,000 or 8 lakhs per annum or 7 lakhs per annum. Instead, it would be better to say, okay, a profile like this in many companies I have found out the kind of salaries are in this range, and I think I qualify to be within that range. Is your answer should be that. So this is the right way of answering. And of course, try to get in touch with various organizations to your career center, etc., for conduction of mock interviews. All right. Understand the rules. All right. Understand the skills, interviews, build your digital preference, prepare your resume and start applying, telephonic screening, get through assignments. All right. All these things are something that you can do. All right. And one of the things that often I have seen on LinkedIn about how people close. All right. Do you have any questions when the interview finishes? Then you can ask them, is there anything about my interview that you would like to know more? All right. What is the approximate turnaround time before I can get the results of this? Okay. Things that should be make it very clear, and also at the same time, you should not be too pushy. All right. So these are some of the things, and some of the do's and don'ts. Interview is a two-way process. It is not a viva voce that you have in college, wherein the teacher asks questions and you give the answers. If you give correct answers, good. If you give wrong answers, you flunk. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. Try to relax. Try to treat him as an equal. All right. Mentally treat that person as an equal, and therefore have a conversation. Do not interrupt when a person is asking a question. Repeat the question. Am I to understand? Repeat the question in a different way to confirm whether this is what you have sent. This is something. All right. So getting nervous, losing this thing, having a dry throat, all these things show signs of weakness. All right. Gulping suddenly. Actually, interviewer is going to be amused, and he's not going to be impressed. He'll be amused that, oh my God, look at this fellow, he's so scared. So being early, now this is of course for physical interviews. Now, unfortunately, physical or face-to-face interviews don't really exist in this current pandemic situation, but being early is on time is late, and being late is not at all acceptable. All right. When you are attending the interview in the video mode, nowadays Zoom interviews are pretty much common. All right. Try to ensure that you have a good background. Inform your family members that you are going to have an interview, and therefore there should be no disturbances. All right. Nobody walking in there. You may want to probably put up a temporary backdrop or something. Okay. And do not keep adjusting your camera. Do a dry run before, and then try to be steady. If you're sitting on a revolving chair, don't shake about. All right. Don't fidget. All right. It's perfectly all right to use your hands, gesticulations as they call it, is important. All right. And dress professionally. You don't have to, wear a tie and sit in your house. Nobody expects you to do that. But don't wear a t-shirt to a interview and online interview. That is something. And I've already said about how yes and no answers is try to illustrate your point. Always try to be a storyteller. Interesting. Now that you mention it, there's an interesting anecdote. I like to answer it if you don't mind. Can I take? If you start in such a way, you have created the curiosity of the interviewer, and then, but for these things to be able to do all these things, you will have to sit and write down and create all these scenarios in your mind. All right. So that's basically it. Like to wrap up, but before I go, I'd like to show you some resume. So this is the resume of I'd just like to show you the resume. This is all abridged. I'd like to show you. This is the resume of a person. I will not tell you what is the details of it. We have just hidden it. It's okay. This particular Word document will eventually become, a PDF or something, and it will be sent. So this is what they have mentioned. All right. And yeah, this is one resume. I'm not going to give my opinion on this. You can probably look at that. And then the next one is yeah, another resume. I'm just showing it to you. This is another resume. Okay. This is the second resume. And the third resume is this one. All right. Now, this was. Now, it goes without saying that the second resume that I have shown you is probably by far the best. The font is nicely readable. This resume is of a person with close to 15 years of experience. Now, this person can afford to give a resume like this because the person is applying for an experienced position. All right, and therefore, there is a good chance that if the person may already be known, this person may have been, they might have reached out to this person, and this person might have sent a resume. All right, this person could be already in an employment and some other company is trying to push them or pull them into their organization. So this person can probably afford it. But do not try to take inspiration from this resume. This should be your baseline. Now I'll just quickly show you if I were to just Google all right. I simply said free resume templates. Now look at this. Look at this amazing content. Now almost everybody is now using the 2-column format of resume. Just about the best resumes, all of them are 2-column. One column that you can see here is some personal details, and this is what it is. One column personal details. One column. So most of the resumes are the 2-column resume. All right. They are, you see that? And photograph is now becoming very popular. All right. We are now in the world of, we don't really have to bother about photographs because we have enormous amount of, we take selfies and all that. So choose one that is the best and then probably, post it there. And then about me, about thing, and something that is very pleasing. All right. So this is another thing that you may want to try out. All right. Now, one more thing which is now catching the fancy of many people is when you're going to give your resume in the Word or a PDF format, obviously there has to be a lot of hyperlinks, my GitHub repository, my Kaggle account, my my LinkedIn profile, my Facebook profile. You may also want, if possible, if you are capable, you may want to create a quick YouTube video, a video. You may get some help of some of your friends to take a good quality video. You may want to remove this back screen, all right, or have something or your resume sitting on the back screen, and then in a standing position, always use a good quality mobile phone and take a 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute video explaining about yourself. This video will also serve to showcase the confidence that you have in your voice. It will showcase the pleasant demeanor that you hold. All right. All these things would go a long way into do that. Now, this is something you may want to experiment, and then obviously you'll have to do it and then you have to keep updating it and things like that, and simply upload it on a YouTube and share that YouTube channel, YouTube link to that particular your resume. So that is something that is relatively new and not many people do it. And if somebody were to click on it, it will take you there and obviously, oh, something different, something nice. And the whole objective of this exercise of getting a job or things, etc., is to ensure that you somehow are unique. You show them that you are unique, you are different, and you are great. All right. And every aspect of it, the way you speak with confidence, the way you look. I mean, I'm not saying that you need to do a lot of makeup and get a, get your facial done and all that. Uh, are you a kind of person, if you sport a beard, do you trim it properly? Do you comb your hair in place? Do you show some professionalism, or you just, okay, I just opened, it is not how I look, it is what is the capabilities that I have. I mean, I'm so, unfortunately, these things also matter, and you may want to look up at that as well. So on that note, I will wrap up, and would request you and invite you to learn more about our channel, learn about our YouTube channel, our LinkedIn profile. All these things are mentioned there. I will ask my colleagues to share it on the, yeah, these things can be shared. You may want to connect with us. Okay, so that being said, yeah, that being said, if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to ask, to answer. If there aren't any questions, then we can probably wrap up. You can probably send me a chat message. So all the best. I would like to end this session with um, with a few words. And is it necessary to have a pic in the resume? Nothing is necessary, right? I cannot answer that and say, but it is something that is now catching on. All right. Unfortunately, we are not in a position to, previously there was a time when I have walked from office to office, keeping copies of my resume, 50, 60 copies, going to the door and giving my resume and walking out. I have done that. Now, and I would go back and then again ask them, is there a chance? So there is, the visibility is there. The HR person may decide to call you and they'll be able to see you. But today we are all hidden because of the pandemic, etc. So your visibility, who is the person, they would definitely like to put the face to the name, all right, or a face to the voice. So it is definitely a good idea to, and never feel embarrassed about how you look and all that. All right, always think you are looking the best, and automatically you will look your best. That is one thing. So that's thing. So please make it up. You might want to try it out. All right, one thing. I would like to wrap up this session with interesting anecdote, interesting saying that I learned long back. If you get selected, good. If you don't get selected, very good. Because not getting selected gives you an opportunity to understand where you failed. If you get selected the first time, you are simply lucky. You never got an opportunity to learn. So attend interviews, fail interviews, learn from those interviews, and then be better prepared. All the best. Thank you. And please keep following us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. We are 360digitmg.com. Thank you. Good night.